We have 3 chapters left, and the battle will be beginning shortly, so yeah, I'm pumped. Nightfall rather than Equestria, as Princess Luna casted a warm yet ominous glow upon the land. Queen Chrysalis stood outside on the balcony of Camelot Castle with a wide, sinister grin etched upon her face, and rejoiced in the fact that she had gained control of the throne. She let out a low, spine-chilling chuckle as she turned to trot back inside. She reveled in the image before her, Princess Celestia and Princess Luna chained and helpless to the palace floor. She trotted to the throne where the small child was, shackled and chained on his knees, shuddering with fear mixed with heavy sobs. Chrysalis smiled at the pain Toby was in, and stroked from the back of his head down his back roughly. "Well, my little pet, I think it's time for us to go to bed." She chuckled lowly and looked at the royal sisters. "It looks like your precious elements are not coming after all, Princess." She lit her horn up, unhooked the chain of Toby's metal collar from the throne, and levitated him in front of her as he whimpered in pain. Celestia stood up, fighting against her restraints. "Where are you going with him, Chrysalis?" Her lips pursed in anger, she snarled, and her brows furrowed with rage. Chrysalis snickered at her. "Oh, Celestia, do you think I would really leave my little pet here for you to try and save him?" She cackled as she opened the palace doors with her magic, and exited, shutting them with force. Chrysalis trod through the many corridors of the palace until she came to Celestia's palace bedroom. She smiled evilly as she looked at the shackled child in front of her. "Well, my little morsel, I think this room will be good for us to sleep in. What do you think?" She squeezed him with her magic, causing him to cry out in pain. "Ah! Ah! 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 Ah!" He was unable to speak through the sorrow he expressed through her shuddering of heavy sobs and fear. Chrysalis levitated him onto the royal blue rug of Celestia's bedroom, and created a hook to connect the collar's chain to. She chained the collar to the hook, forcing child into his knees, causing the chain on his wrist cuffs to clang. He kept his head lowered, looking at the ground, trembling with fear. Chrysalis slowly trotted over to the rug to lie down. She struck the top of Toby's head with a hoof, causing him to shudder under her touch. She smiled mischievously at the terrified child. "Well, my little pet, you have been such an obedient, and might I add, a very tasty little morsel ever since we met." She let out a lowly chuckle. "It's all thanks to you I will have control of the throne, and soon all of Equestria will bow down to their true ruler." She leaned her head forward to him, breathing heavily against his tear-stained face. "Now you go to sleep, my little pet, because tomorrow we have more conquering to do." She let out a soft cackle and curled around the frightened cold surrounding his form with hers. He cried himself to sleep, tears trickling down his cheeks. An eerie silence rumbled along the streets of Camelot as midnight struck. Suddenly there was a flash of light that appeared in the center of the city. After the light dissipated, Princess Cadance, Twilight, and the other elements of harmony, and the new allies appeared. Twilight and the other girls bared their elements. "Okay, every pony, we got to be real careful so not to get caught by Chrysalis or any of the changelings, if there are any around." Twilight looked at them, and all nodded firmly in agreement. The group started their trek towards the castle. "I don't like this one bit, y'all. It feels creepy with no light speed on any of the homes." Applejack swallowed deeply. She looked around at the darkened homes. "Well, Applejack, darling, that ruffian of a queen must have struck fear into the citizens, and they're afraid to come out." Rarity sighed deeply as her teeth started chattering. "Honestly, who could blame them?" "Fuck yeah, Max Payne!" While the ponies were talking amongst themselves up ahead, Nikolai and Riley decided to trail behind with Kevin. Kevin looked around sadly at the deserted-like town and felt his heart break a little as he trotted along the path. He sighed deeply, but heard faint whistling coming from Nikolai as they walked. He looked over at him and noticed a tear threatening to escape. "Love, save us once. We're far from where we crawled. Love, save us once. Beware what you want. Trust us now. It's time to let me go. Give up on us. Follow what you want. Trust us now. It's time to let me go. Give up. Give our soul away. Now you will go. Save us once. We'll never let go. Where we crawl, the memories are wrong. Save us once. We'll never wake up. What you thought you want. Trust us now. It's time to let me go. Give up for now. Follow what you want. Trust us now. It's time to let me go. Give up. Give our soul away. Remember but with love. It's time to let me never let go. Follow in your memories alone. It's time to let me never let go. We die alone. That was, oh god, that was pretty cool right there. A little self-insert. That was Tears by Health off Max Payne 3. The soundtrack! Ah! Never played any of the games, but it's a great song. Kevin looked at him. Is something the matter, Nikolai? He gave the human a look of concern. Nikolai looked over at him with a corked eyebrow. Oh no, kid. I am fine. I just whistle this tune just to keep my nerves calmed, so I don't become consumed with anger. I like these characters. These characters are pretty cool. He let out a soft chuckle as he folded his hands behind his head. Why? What happens when you get mad? Fucking you fucking die. I will break you. Like the spirit of your forefathers. Kevin asked with a look of curiosity. He let out another light chuckle and reached over to pat the satyr on the shoulder. Trust me, kid. You don't want to know. He went back to his whistling, to look at Kevin with a curious look of his own. Hey, kid. How come don't you want to tell any of us about yourself? I mean, I spoke about mine and Riley's life, but you just say you're a traveler. Skyrim belong. No, I'm not going to start that. I'm a traveler. Besides, I just don't feel like talking about my life. A hint of sadness could be heard in his tone, and he felt tears of his own threatening to escape. Nikolai noticed this and placed a hand daily on his shoulder. Come on, kid, spill it. There's something troubling you, and you need to let it out. He gave Kevin a stern look. Kevin stopped and turned to Nikolai, letting out a deep, content sigh. All right, if I tell you my own story, will you drop it? Nikolai nodded as he stopped to listen, and Riley sat down. Kevin sighed heavily as he began to tell his tale. I remember it as clear as it was when I last looked into the eyes of my father. I was very young, around the age of 3 when he died. He was a pony of the unicorn heritage, and he wanted to give me a life here in Equestria. He told me while my mother, who was a human, passed away giving birth to me, and he wanted to bring me back here. However, I was too weak that he thought I would die, so being a unicorn, he used up all the magic and transferred into my heart to make me strong in order to live. Yet in doing so, he got terribly ill, and he died just a few days. A tear trickled down Kevin's cheek, and he let out a heavy sigh. I was forced to make my home in an orphanage, while all the colts and fillies were all only ponies, except for me. There were some ponies who were genuinely caring about towards me, such as the caretakers at the orphanage. However, there was some that looked at me and deemed me an abomination of equestrian society and deserved the casted out of it. A few more tears streamed down his cheek. At the orphanage there was one pony who was a local bully, and he always pushed around the smaller, weaker kids. I was his favorite to pick on because of what you may call deformity. He always relished in the fact and called me a freak, a sin to nature, and all that hurtful rubbish. While Kevin was telling his story, the ponies were quietly listening as they stopped trotting ahead and turned to the 3. One day I decided I had enough, and I ran away from the orphanage not to be heard or seen from again. From that moment I decided to travel around Equestria and explore the many countries, hoping to be accepted in society. I reached up with the back of his hand, wiping away his tears, let out one last heavy sigh. Was that a good enough story for you? Nikolai swallowed deeply. Jeez, kid, I'm sorry that you had to go through all that. He looked at Kevin with a serious look. Listen here, though, Kevin. You're not an abomination, and you're definitely not a freak. You are a brave young satyr with a big heart who wants to help others. Never feel ashamed of that. Do you understand? Riley barked and nodded in agreement. Kevin sniffled and let out a light chuckle. Thank you, Nikolai. That means a lot. Suddenly there was a buzzing sound echoing around the group. When out of nowhere the last 3 changeling drones surrounded them. Kevin shook his head free of his tears and looked at the 3 with determination and a mix of anger. He looked over at Nikolai. Think you can handle him? In my sleep. Nikolai chuckled as he looked down at Riley. These characters are awesome. He was standing with his teeth snarling. Are you ready, boy? Riley nodded up. He turned to the group. You all going on ahead. We got these 3. The group hesitantly nodded and turned to gallop towards the castle, except for Fluttershy. She looked worriedly at the 3. Are you sure you 3 will be okay? Of course. Now go! Nikolai shouted with a soft tone. Kevin nodded his head to Fluttershy. Fluttershy, when you told me about your son being full napped, it made me realize how important family and how much I wish my mother and father were here with me. You go get your son back. I'll be happy knowing that if I die, I would have died letting your son live his life, just like my father did for me. He gave her a soft smile. Fluttershy allowed tears to escape her eyes and roll down her cheeks. Thank you, all three of you, are for helping us. She gave them all a sad smile and turned to catch up with the others, while the three new allies were focused on holding off the free drones, ponies that were on their way to storm the castle, save the princesses, and especially rescue Toby. With pure determination in her heart, Fluttershy thought to herself, "Hold on, my baby boy! Mama's coming!" That's the 8th time she said that, but it never gets old. This was a great chapter. Oh my god. Kevin and Nikolai are amazing characters. Riley's cool too. He's like a little companion sidekick. He's cool. But Kevin and Nikolai take the cake, especially Nikolai. Fucking awesome. I love these characters, I really do. Oh god. Jason, they have to be in a New Home 3. I don't care how. They can't be in the room with Toby, but they gotta fucking be in New Home 3. I love them. They're awesome. And this was the great chapter. The ending paragraph of Kevin is great. So far, I have to admit, A New Home 1 is still better than this, but this story definitely has better dialogue, in my opinion. This story has improved with dialogue, but New Home 1 is just better because it just tells a better story. But this is still awesome, and I love Nikolai, Riley, and Kevin. So we have 2 chapters left. Holy shit! And Templar's like still trying to figure out why Nikolai, Riley, and Kevin are even here. Well, I don't know either, but they're pretty cool. So yeah, chapter 14 is coming up.